Salutations and welcome to, well, I guess this is part 2 of my video about my horrifying and bizarre experience. I would just like to sincerely thank everybody who watched my last video. I was reading the comments this morning and it brought me to tears. I did not realize how common an experience this was for so many people, not just for women, but for men and other individuals as well. It was heartwarming to know that other people understood what I was going through, and it was also so revelatory to see what I had actually gone through when I watched through my video and actually realizing what had happened to me. It has been a very stressful time, I must admit, and I don't think I realized how serious some of what was happening to me actually was. I don't think I realized how serious potentially going on holiday could have been, and I really thank all of you for your comments and for your messages of kindness and concern. I really appreciate it so much. I also do want to apologize for being I think in this video, just editing it right now, I come across as quite stiff, I think, and I do apologize for that. I've just been quite stressed over the past few days, and I'm sure that will become clear when you actually watch the video and what has happened in the past few days. So yes, I do want to apologize for that. I am okay, and I do thank you so very much for your understanding. And now let's get into the video. Before we start this video, I just need to make one thing very clear. The last time I was ever in contact with Lachlan was on May 31st when I sent him an email, which for me was basically putting my foot down for the first time ever. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about re Lachlan, please watch this video. This video will give you all the context and the information for what I'm going to be talking about in this video, about what has transpired since I posted that video, which is a perfect instance of, I would call it, emotional manipulation, if not emotional. In this email, I basically debunked all of his claims that I had strongly reciprocated his feelings and that I was sleeping around with Yorkshiremen, as he'd put it. The essence of the email isn't important, but what is important is how I ended that email. Please, for once, respect my wishes and don't contact me again. Now, I don't know if this just doesn't hit, and I know that Lachlan, just based on some of the comments I've been getting, is not the only person who thinks that what he did and what he has continued to do is perfectly viable and normal. If somebody says that they do not want you to contact them ever again, and not just says it, but says it in bold, do not contact them ever again. Ever. Since telling Lachlan to never contact me again, he has written me not 1, not 2, but 7 emails. He also did a whole lot more than that, and we will get into that momentarily. But not only did Lachlan send me 7 emails when I told him to never contact me again, he also made a fake Gmail account under the name Lachlan K and commented at least 11 times on my video. Now, as of today, he, that is Lachlan, not me, because I never delete comments. I've never deleted a comment on my channel in my life, but Lachlan has deleted the 11 comments that he left on my channel under the account and the name Lachlan K. I can hazard why he deleted those comments, mainly because of the contents of the emails that he sent me subsequently. Honestly, I should have screenshotted all the comments that he was making and responding to before he deleted it, but I was, in all honesty, just so stunned that this man had gone out of his way to not only create a fake Gmail account under the name Lachlan K, but was still watching my content and still following my social media. And we will get into that because I think that this is a very important lesson on parasociality and parasocial relationships. Now, just before we get into these lovely emails, I do want to clear something up that I think is very important. I find it very interesting that I relayed my experiences of somebody countlessly violating my boundaries. And yet I got several comments of people upset with me for seemingly violating Lachlan's boundaries. The example that these comments gave of me violating Lachlan's boundaries was my using his real name. Now, I don't blame these commenters for believing that I had used Lachlan's real name based on the fact that Lachlan Lachlan, and I need to emphasize this, Lachlan is not this person's real name. It is a fake name that I made for the purpose of this video because of how much I value anonymizing people who I talk about in my content. If I didn't value Lachlan's boundaries, I would have never given him a fake name. I would have told you his age, I would have told you his ethnicity, I would have told you what major British city he lives in. I would have told you personal things that he told me in confidence that I would never have dreamed of putting on the internet or sharing to anyone, even in my personal life. And as I said, I don't blame these commenters for thinking that Lachlan was his real name, because of the fact that Lachlan decided to go out of his way to create a fake email account called Lachlan K and opened his first comment by saying Lachlan here. He didn't bother to dispel or to clarify that his name wasn't actually Lachlan. Now, I've always said I never have a problem with anybody commenting on my videos, but if you're going to use the anonymized name that I gave you and you are going to use it in a comment where you put forward on your own volition personal information about yourself that I have not even divulged to a living soul, that is your choice and your prerogative, but it is also your prerogative and it is important for you to clarify to people that you aren't actually Lachlan, that isn't actually your name, because now people think that I violated this person's boundaries, that I've doxed them, when that is not the case at all. In short, I completely anonymized Lachlan. I crucially made sure that no identifying information was put out there about this person. Not one person knows who Lachlan is. The only people who allegedly know who Lachlan in my video is are people who Lachlan himself decided to tell that it was him. He made that choice, and that is his choice and his responsibility. And we will get into that. Secondly, I would like to also make this crucial distinction between two forms of content that I don't think people are readily appreciating when it comes to individuals like myself, that is content creators, talking about our personal experiences, talking about things that have happened to us. Something that has regrettably, I think, been termed oversharing in order to try and primarily, I think, shame women from talking about their personal experiences online. I would like to make the distinction between A, me talking about my personal experiences with Lachlan, and B, me talking about Lachlan. I think it's very important to consider all of my personal videos or the videos that I make about myself as being a kind of audio memoir. My video about my bizarre and horrifying experience was about my experience, which is why I included primarily information about what I was personally going through with my mental health, what I was going through in my personal life, what I was thinking about the situation, what mistakes and errors I thought I made in this relationship. I am completely valid and completely entitled to talk about my experiences on my platform. And because I am a human being living in society, inevitably my experiences are going to involve other individuals and other people. It is my responsibility, if I decide to make content about myself, about my experiences, to be as respectful as I possibly can to people. And the way that you do that is by, most importantly, anonymizing people, by making sure that you don't dox them, as is a very important thing not to do on the internet. This is very different from me making a video about Lachlan, from me making a video trashing him, as he called it in one of the emails that we are going to go through. Just remember, Lachlan and people like Lachlan will always make things that are your experience, that are things that happen to you, about them. They cannot humanize you. They cannot humanize what you have gone through. Everything is from their view. Everything is an affront to them, is something happening to them. Just like me telling Lachlan about wanting to unalive myself, or me telling Lachlan about being resulted in him telling me that he wanted to be the one to save me, that he wanted to be the one to be a compassionate lover to me. Me making this video about my experiences of a male-female friendship resulted in this individual contacting me to tell me that I had been trashing him, about all the problems that my video was now causing him. We are going to get into how this is emotional manipulation and emotional 101. Now, as I said, if I had made a video about Lachlan, I would have told you personal things about him that he had told me in confidence. I would have told you his real name. I would have told you his ethnicity, his height. God forbid, I would have told you details about his favorite films and everything, stuff that I would have never divulged. Those things are his story. They're his experience. They are not for me to share. And even though I have absolutely no respect whatsoever for this individual, I would never dream of violating that confidentiality, of violating that boundary. Just because I don't respect him, it doesn't mean that I can't act respectfully toward him. Lachlan was relevant only insofar as he directly contributed to my experiences. And again, I have every right to talk about those experiences and what that put me through and how I felt about that and how I responded to that and what I learned from that. That was the entirety of that video. And it is so telling to me of how emotionally manipulative he is, not just to me, but to you, the viewer, that he made it appear as if Lachlan, that is Lachlan K, was his real name, and proceeded to write paragraph after paragraph of personal identifying information about him when absolutely nobody knew who he was, because I made sure that absolutely nobody knew or would know who he is.
And that's really difficult because you always hope people will change. Well, maybe if I'm nice to him, he'll change. Maybe if I do this, he'll change. Well, maybe if I do this, he'll uh-oh. Oh my God, Lachlan's in the comments. Oh yeah, he's crazy. He made a username called Lachlan. Oh, damn, girl. Lachlan here. Here's what I emailed in response for anyone interested. I have no problem with this video being uploaded, and I admit that I was an awful person throughout. The only thing I would have appreciated is that some notice before it was posted. A certain close family members I'd confided in instantly knew it was about me, and its uploading has caused some of them significant degree of stress at a difficult time, dealing with severe illness in the family. Punish and criticize me all you want. I deserve it, but my family friends don't. No, I call bullshit. I call bullshit. First of all, why would your family and friends even know? And second of all, I don't give a what you're suffering with. Did you do this? Your family and friends should probably send you to therapy. And also, I feel like this is him manipulating. With a day's notice, I could have at least made sure they did not see it. I communicated this to Z in response. She teased a part 2. So the factor is obviously not an importance. Fair enough. No, I don't think it's... Yeah, I don't think this is... Anyways, names and details excised. Yeah, no, this is like... Baby Reindeer. Baby Reindeer literally was not even named, and she came out and was like, it was me. I'm Baby Reindeer. Girl, none of us would have knew unless you said something. Everyone knows that's what stalkers do. Stalkers confirm they're the stalkers because they want to. He's confirming he's the guy when he didn't even have to. Now, he made up a name. This isn't a real YouTube channel, right? He made up a fake channel called Lachlan. You didn't have to do that. You could have just ignored the video, bro, and told your family, oh yeah, some shit on the internet, bro. What are you talking about? This impacted your family. Impacted your family to know you're a like rapist adjacent. I said what I said. Like it impacted your family to know like you're a stalker basically. What are you talking about? What do you mean it impacted your family?
Now, the main point of Lachlan leaving these comments on my channel was to make it publicly known that my video had allegedly caused distress to a parent. This parent had seen the video because this parent follows me. The video had caused this parent distress during a time in this parent's life when they are going through some hardships, and that this was ultimately, as a result, causing the family a lot of distress. I just want to make it very clear that the only reason why allegedly, and I say allegedly importantly, again, I will get into this, Lachlan's parent knew that this video was about Lachlan is because Lachlan told them. I do not know Lachlan's parent. I don't even know the name of Lachlan's parent. I have not been in contact with them. I have absolutely no relationship with this parent whatsoever. I spoke to them for, I would say, a maximum, and I'm being very liberal here, a maximum of 5 to 10 minutes when Lachlan was hosting me a year ago. I have absolutely no qualms with this parent whatsoever, but I also have absolutely no relationship whatsoever with this parent. I'd also just like to add here that I got a lot of comments from people saying that I was leading this man on, that I wasn't clear that we were just friends. Now, all the way back when we were getting to know each other, Lachlan wanted my address to send me a present for my birthday. I said, no, I don't celebrate my birthday. He then decided to buy me a present and again asked for my address so that he could send me the present. Now, obviously, that puts me in a bit of a predicament because I didn't want to give him my address. I already just don't like to give anybody my address. This wasn't just purely a Lachlan thing at that point. I just don't give people my address. It's just something that I do not do. Anyway, I was in a predicament now in a situation where he'd bought me a present, even though I told him I do not celebrate my birthday. I believe I'd only told him that it was sometime in February. He sent me a lovely gift and he sent me this card. And the only reason I am showing this card is because I want to dispel this idea that I was leading him on about our relationship. This was for my birthday in mid-February. Dear Z, happy birthday. I know you don't really celebrate it, but I shall nevertheless see it as an excuse to say how enjoyable it has been getting to know you and that I'm very grateful to have you as a friend. You're marvelous in many ways, Lachlan X. So this idea that Lachlan and some people seem to have that I was leading him on, that I wasn't clear about things or anything, we were just friends. There was nothing romantic that ever happened between us. Editing me here. I'd also just like to add that in one of my last Zoom calls with Lachlan, we were actually talking about speed dating. I was talking about how positive an experience it had been for me and therefore he should speed date as well. And he was actually very grateful or was very thankful for me recommending this on a subsequent Zoom call because this was a good idea. That was what he said, not what I said, but he said that it was like a good idea and he was actually going to try and put himself out there. Now, I only share this particular specific topic of conversation because if I was trying to lead him on, I don't think I would be recommending and advising him to go speed dating. And I don't think he would have responded in the way that he did, which was at the time at least very positive. I wasn't sort of keeping him there as a potential partner. I was not interested in a romantic relationship with this individual. And I made that very clear to him. Just thought I should clear that up. Thank you. Now, I just want you to remember and just to always keep it in your mind throughout all of this that I had told Lachlan at the end of May to never contact me again. After I posted my video about my experience, he sent me a incredibly long-winded email. The only reason why I'm going to share anything from this email is because he took this exact email and pasted it into my YouTube comment section on his fake Gmail account under Lachlan K. Every single thing in this email he put on my public YouTube comment section. Again, all of this of his own volition. All of this, at least insofar as the personal email to me goes, is a violation of my consent. Now, if somebody tells you to never contact them again, that means that they do not want you to send them email after email detailing the work that he's doing, how he's doing community service and trying to give back to the community, how he is trying to be less selfish or more selfless. He is telling me things that I have absolutely no interest in knowing, that I do not want to know, that I have never wanted to know since telling him to never contact me again. This is a violation of somebody's boundaries and a violation of somebody's consent to such an extreme degree that it is baffling to me how this is not seen as such a bad thing by the person doing it, how this isn't seen as a violation of boundaries. As you can see, I have not responded to a single one of his emails since he has started writing me emails, and I will never, ever send him an email or be in contact with him ever again. I cannot reiterate this enough. And I'm saying this here because I know that Lachlan is watching this. I know that he is watching my social media. I just know that, just based on what he did in the last video and over the last few days and the things that he's been saying in these emails. And I also say this because of how he has been trying to emotionally manipulate me into writing him back. I say this, I know that my last videos have attracted a lot more young women into my audience, and I am thrilled about this. And I say this as a lesson to you because I have learned too late, sadly. If you say no to somebody and they will not accept it, run. Run so far away. Just run. I don't know where, but as far away from that person as possible. This individual, I have realized now after everything that has happened, is somebody who just does not understand consent, does not understand or respect boundaries, because they are emotionally manipulative. They cannot understand how other people cannot see things from their point of view. They cannot understand how people can feel bad about their actions, because nothing is ever their responsibility nor their accountability. And just a news flash as well, considering that Lachlan has sent me so many emails about how he's trying to change and be a better person, self-flagellating himself as being selfish and somebody who isn't compassionate and who didn't deserve me and all of these sorts of things. Just so you know, as a news flash, these emotionally people, they will never change. They will never actually do the work. And this is a perfect example of that. What they actually do is this. And this is precisely what Lachlan has done. They start off nice. They start off with the nice email, relatively nice email that Lachlan sent me, and that Lachlan importantly publicly posted on my channel, which made a lot of people think that, you know, he's a nice guy, he deserves a chance, like, sorry for everything that he is going through. And what had typically happened, as I relayed in my previous video, is that whenever Lachlan would do this, that is apologize for his behavior, for things that he'd said and done, I would respond with a, you're completely valid and it's fine, you don't need to apologize. Or I'd say, you know, I accept your apology. Actually, I never said I accept your apology. I always said you didn't need to apologize, and I apologize for having that tone when I finally did put my foot down. And of course, I now know this cycle with the Lachlans of the world, with emotionally manipulative people. What happens is they are kind and they are civil, they are nice, they are cordial, until you don't respond to them, or until you don't respond in the way that they want you to, in the way that they expect you to. When you don't respond in the way that they expect you to, or in my case, when I don't respond at all, that is when their true colors come out. Their true colors don't just come out, they explode like the feathers on a peacock. Now note in this initial email that he sends, which he importantly posts and decides to post of his own free will and volition onto my channel, where he says things like that he accepts that he's selfish, that he's spoiled, emotionally immature, and extremely inconsiderate, and that he hurt me horribly. Please also note that he says he doesn't expect a response to any of this, and there is nothing I hope to achieve other than to provide clarity on a few points. He says that he's sorry, that he's made it difficult for me to trust people. Needless to say, the majority of people are not like me, and you should not assume they are. I am very glad to hear that you're in a good place mentally and generally, and for once I've let myself be happy for myself that I am also trying to be better. Now, the thing with emotionally manipulative and people is that when they send you messages like this, they expect you to respond to them. They expect you to reach out back to them, to accept the olive branch which they've extended out to you. Now, Lachlan sent this email to me at 3:42 in the afternoon. I didn't respond to this. Why? Because I had set a boundary in place to never be in contact with this man again. And this man was violating my boundaries, violating my consent yet again. And this wasn't the first time. He'd already sent me 2 emails before this. Also, this is very important context. I didn't read any of the emails that he had sent me. I merely saw that I had notifications on my phone. I was busy during that day, so I wasn't going to read emails, let alone read emails from Lachlan. I saw that I'd gotten notifications, and I read these emails today for the first time. So I didn't respond. And then at 7:05 p.m., I get another email from him. Now, I just want you to note how the tone in this email and all the emails after it is completely different to the tone in the initial email. It is incredibly telling, incredibly indicative of somebody trying to emotionally manipulate you. Thank you also for airing this without giving me any prior notice or warning. Why would I give you any prior notice or warning? I am never going to speak to you again. I set that boundary in place. I do not have to give you any warning about a video that is about my experiences on my channel, on my social media. I'm going to get into this just now so I won't say it right now, but I need to just make some things quite clear about this very weird parasocial relationship that him and allegedly a parent of his seems to have with me. I believe I had mentioned to you that I discussed some of this with my parent, so it was not difficult for them to work out it was about me. I had told this parent most of it, though obviously not the parts that are most uncomfortable. So the content itself is not so much the issue. Please remember this. Please remember this. That Lachlan says that he is the one who had told the parent most of this, and that the content itself is not the issue. But this parent is very stressed by the fact that there is a public video online trashing me and my personality. Okay. My video wasn't trashing Lachlan or his personality. My video was chronologically going over my experiences with Lachlan verbatim. If you do something bad to me and I talk about it, I'm not trashing you. I'm talking about the bad thing that you did to me. I'm not trashing you. The bad things that you did are entirely on you and are entirely your responsibility. And this is the first of many instances of the attempt at emotional manipulation that Lachlan wheels himself into here. I've explained to my parents that you've anonymized me, but this is still causing them tremendous stress at a time when they are dealing with a lot of things. The way I acted toward you was wrong, but airing all of this in public without at least notifying me is wrong too. With a bit of notice, I could have at least made sure they didn't see it. Now, I am going to believe this. I know that at least the person who I consulted in my personal life about this thinks that this is all made up, and I know just based on the emails that Lachlan sent me subsequently that a lot of people in the comments didn't believe this either and saw this as emotional abuse. Now, I completely agree that this is emotional manipulation, but I do want to talk about the parent thing first and foremost. And I say this with as much compassion as a stranger can have for another person, but also with reason. If this is true, I am sorry for whatever personal, familial struggles and pressures that Lachlan and his family are going through. I am sorry for any hardships that any of my viewers are going through. This, however, has absolutely nothing to do with me. I do not know any of Lachlan's family. And as such, and because my video about my experiences with Lachlan have absolutely nothing to do with his family, I never spoke, not even once, about anybody in his family. If members of his family decide to follow my social media, that is not my responsibility. It is also not my responsibility, as Lachlan has tried to rather manipulatively and subtly make it, to contact him privately to tell him when I'm uploading my next video on my experience so that his parent doesn't get stressed by it. Forgive me, but why is Lachlan's parent following me in the first place? Firstly, I don't know if it's just me. I thought that this was just protocol for anybody when a breakup happens. When, for instance, my ex-boyfriend broke up with me, I deleted his number, I deleted his email, I also deleted his parents' number and his parents' email, and I have never been in contact with my ex-boyfriend nor with his parents ever since. Importantly, if at the time I had social media, I would have most definitely unfollowed his social medias and blocked him. And if I had his parents on my social media, I'm quite sure that we would have done the exact same thing. And considering that Lachlan has said that he told his parent all about our friendship and our friendship breakup as well, I cannot really understand why they would continue to follow me. And in that vein, I also cannot understand why, if my video and my content is causing them stress, they continue to watch my content. Now, the reason why I say this is so manipulative and why this was, in my belief, an attempt at Lachlan to try to get me to contact him, to be in contact with him, and to feel some kind of guilt, to guilt trip me, is because he now made this not something that was causing him distress or something that was making him feel bad. Instead, it was making an innocent party feel bad. That is his parent. And now, of course, he has put me into a very beautiful little predicament. A predicament of, if I post this video without contacting him, then I'm a bad person because now I am causing his parent distress because they're going to see the second video that I've posted. And on the other hand, if I contact him, I'm violating my boundary that I set set, which is very important for me, for my well-being, for my values. Interestingly, either way, I look like the bad person because I'm obviously not going to violate my boundary. I am obviously never, ever contacting or speaking to this person ever again. And what is really important to me, and I think what is really important when dealing with people who are trying to emotionally manipulate you, is to realize that you really don't owe them anything. I do not owe Lachlan anything. I do not owe Lachlan's family anything. I do not know them. However, now I have to speak about them because I am making this video about my experiences and clearing things up because of stuff that Lachlan decided to publicly put onto my YouTube channel when I completely anonymized him and nobody knew who he was. There's something that psychology with Dr. Anna says about parasocial relationships that I think is really pertinent to this.
Now here's the part that you might not like to hear me say. I think online people talk about parasocial relationships quite often as if it is the public figures who are to blame for their viewers' inappropriate behavior. And while I think that there are some pretty rare occasions where public figures do sort of stoke the flames of their fans' obsessions, like I said, that's pretty rare. Most of the time, I think this discussion kind of veers into victim blaming of the public figure. It is our responsibility as consumers of whatever form of media to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand, to make sure that we don't lose touch with reality or behave inappropriately with other people, or make sure that those parasocial relationships don't become unhealthy and extreme. I think if a viewer or fan or whatever you want to call them develops an unhealthy attachment to a public figure, unless the public figure has done something to actually bring on an unhealthy attachment to them, that is the viewer's responsibility to work through and figure out. I say this so often on this channel, we are not responsible for the feelings or the actions of other people. People don't deserve to be on the receiving end of unhealthy parasocial attachments just because their job requires them to be a public figure.
I completely agree with Dr. Anna on this. I and other content creators who make videos about their personal lives or about something that has happened to them and anonymize the people who are involved in their story and in their life and their experiences are not responsible for the actions and the feelings of other people. In this case, Lachlan's alleged parents' decision to keep consuming my content of their own free will. In the same way that I chose to never contact Lachlan again, Lachlan chose to contact me. Lachlan chose to allegedly tell his parent all about his unhealthy friendship with me, and they all chose to keep following and watching me after the fact, if that is true. And you know, this email is trying to make me bridge a parasocial relationship with somebody who I have no relationship with somebody who is a viewer of my content because of stress and personal matters that have nothing to do with me. Those stresses and hardships are just that, and I'm so sorry for anybody who is going through stresses and hardships. But it is not my responsibility to mediate and regulate that. That is not only a violation of my personal boundaries that I have set with Lachlan, but is a violation of boundaries that I have set as a content creator for people who consume and view my content. He wanted to.
Wait, Julia says it's hard to get into details, but sometimes it's hard to have boundaries when it's not a two-way street. Boundaries are never a two-way street. Boundaries are never a two-way street. They are only a two-way street when we're talking about something different. The boundaries I'm talking about, girly, has to do with you and only you. You set up the boundaries, not ultimatums, not threats, boundaries. Hey, I love you, bro. I'm excited for you to live your life and all that. Reach out to me when it feels like a good vibe. And then if they reach out to you only when they need help, you say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that today. And they go, what do you mean you can't help me with that? You're my sister. And you go, I'm so sorry, I really can't help you with that today. This is all I can help you with, and I just can't help you with that today. And then you start to set down boundaries, and then they start to realize like, oh, you're standing up for yourself without tearing them down. This isn't about them giving you boundaries. It's about you as a sister and as a sibling, because we've all been there. And with a friend or whatever, saying, hey, I love you. I can't actually do that for you. And I'm not going to feel guilted into doing something that's against my values. The only thing that makes me feel guilty is when I've betrayed my values.
Thank you so much to Brittany Simon. I absolutely love Brittany's content. I am not going to feel guilted for doing something that is against my values. It is against my values to contact this person, and I'm not going to contact this person. And I'm not going to be made to feel bad for doing that. In reading these emails, I have come to realize the absolute emotional labor that women are expected to do for man children. Yes, this is a man child. I saw people making some comments. There were some people who made comments. Basically, I think, Lachlan found some, very kindred spirits in my comment section whilst he was incessantly commenting. And they were saying things like, you're young and you'll learn and everything. I just want to make this clear, and this is the only thing that I'm going to say about Lachlan, any personal thing about him, that this man is well over the age of 30. Well over the age of 30. This isn't somebody who's in his 20s learning how to navigate relationships and people and how to treat people. This is a person who is well, and I mean well into adulthood. So let's get back to these emails. He has sent me an email at around 3:30 in the afternoon. He has sent me one at 7 o'clock at night. And now he decides to send me yet another email after I have yet again not responded at around 12 o'clock in the morning. Now, mind you, between 3:30 in the afternoon and midnight, Lachlan has decided, I cannot emphasize this enough, on his own volition to publish his email, his initial long-winded, woe is me and I'm so sorry and I'm to blame for everything email onto my video, into the comment sections of my video, exposing personal information about himself that I have not and would never on his fake email account called Lachlan K. You know that it was wrong to turn this into a public drama. Lachlan, you are the only person who turned this into public drama. If your intention was to hurt me, then well done. You have achieved that by hurting those closest to me. I love how it's me that has hurt him and those closest to him. It's not him and his behavior and his actions that have hurt those closest to him, that have hurt him. Again, this is emotional manipulation 101. This is not a good person. Not at all a good person. And it takes me a lot to call somebody not a good person. I don't think I have ever, in at least my adult life, called somebody a bad person, because I appreciate that people are nuanced, are multifaceted, are going through things. But this individual has shown me repeatedly, time and time again, that they are actually just not a good person. It is so telling when somebody tells you about all the work that they're doing, how they're improving. They're so apologetic to you. They say or claim that they accept all the bad things that they did to you, how they did you wrong. And then this is how they treat you. This is what they say to you when you don't fall for the when you don't fall for their attempt to emotionally manipulate you into forgiving them, into communicating with them again. Because all he wants right now, it's clear, it is so clear to me now that all he wants for me to do is to contact him again, is to violate my boundary, to show that my boundaries don't actually matter, because this person cannot humanize me. I have never been considered a human to this person. And what is also really interesting to me is that this person fell in love with Kidology, that is with me, the content creator. They love that I did content, especially personal content about my life and my experiences, about being a femcel, about my childhood and my personal history. But now I'm making the exact same content that I make because I'm a content creator, but it's about my experience of them. And now it's a problem for me to make personal content. It's very telling. My parent and another member of my family who I'd recommended your channel to and who knew, for instance, that we were meant to go on holiday, their estimation of me will never recover. I don't understand how any of this is my problem. I don't understand why I need to know any of this. Why? My parent is particularly distraught, angry, and ashamed, compounded with the stress of other issues. You're probably laughing and think I deserve that. Now, I want to make two comments here. The first one I want to make, can you see how he's having a conversation with himself now? He's having a conversation with himself because I'm not responding. So he's making baseless assumptions. There's nothing wrong with making assumptions of people. Like, I can make the assumption based on evidence and on previous evidence that Lachlan is watching this video, because that is what Lachlan does. So I can make that assumption. He's making the baseless assumption that I'm laughing at his family and about the shame that this is allegedly causing his family, who know about this video and about Lachlan because he decided to tell them. Somebody who's trying to emotionally manipulate you is always having a conversation with themselves, especially if you do not respond, if you do not take the bit or the bait that they put out for you. It is so clear to me now. I sort of feel like I've had cataracts and I've just had them scraped off, and now I can see clearly because, oh my goodness, this is horrifying. If somebody's estimation of you will not recover, that's on you. That is your problem. That's because of what you've done. That is because of your actions, which I am not responsible for. Again, the emotional labor that I am being expected to do for this grown, well over 30-year-old man is astounding. The second point that I want to make here is a point that I think a lot of my, especially black and brown viewers, especially female black and brown viewers, will know all too well. Please put this hand emoji in the comment section if you've experienced this or if you know of this, like from personal experience, because this is something that is all too common. What can I call it? This is something that I would call the family honor syndrome. Now, what will happen is a man in the community or in the family will do something bad. And he'll typically do something bad to a woman or to a child. And what will happen is that the woman or the child will speak out about this, will tell somebody in the family or in the community about it. And the response that the woman or the child gets is that of people blaming them. They will blame the woman or the child. They will be suspicious of the woman or the child. People will say and whisper that you can't trust her with anything. And importantly, she will be blamed for bringing dishonor to the family or to the community. Now, in all of this, the important thing that is constantly and always systematically, repeatedly forgotten is that the reason why this dishonor happened in the first place is because of the actions of the man who nobody cares about at all. Him and his actions are forgotten in this entire scenario, a very real scenario at that. Family honor syndrome can basically be summed up as it being more important to keep up the appearance and the veneer of honor than to actually be honorable. The woman will be shamed, as Lachlan tries to do by guilt-tripping me. You have now dredged everything up in a cruel, clearly unconstructive way in order to get clicks and sell vibrators. Go ahead and post a part 2 now. It doesn't matter. The damage here is already done. Now remember, Lachlan brought his family into all of this, not just by posting about them on my video, but also in telling them about this and in having them follow me, which I did not even know. I was not privy to any of this. He mentioned once a long time ago that one of his parents followed me on Instagram, but that was all I knew. If you bring your family who have nothing to do with something into a situation of your making and your doing in order to shield yourself of your actions, you're not just pathetic, you're also just trying to emotionally manipulate someone. And usually that somebody is like me, a woman who cares about family, who can be guilt-tripped into caring about such things, who obviously has a sort of maternal instinct within her and doesn't want to cause anybody distress or stress or any harm of the kind. But I am not the one doing the hurting. You, Lachlan, I know you're watching. You're the one who is doing the hurting. You're the one who is responsible for all of this drama that has been created by you. I completely anonymized you. Nobody on planet Earth knows who you are. The only reason this family member, if this is even true, knows who Lachlan in my video is because Lachlan told them. Now, if only that were the end of it, but oh no, Lachlan writes to me yet again. At 10 in the morning, he says, I've spoken to my parent this morning and explained that the video is completely anonymous and you've removed all details. My parent was calmer than yesterday, so has understood. Again, why do I need to know any of this? This is such toxic parasociality. This is a parasocial relationship that I have not in any way condoned at all. I have not condoned because I have set that boundary in place to never contact me. I do not wish to know any of this. I do not need to. I do not want to know any of this. This is none of my business. Stop making it my business. I commented on your video with the email I sent you. Now note that he commented with the email, the first one. He hasn't put in any of the other emails that he sent me because I assume that he knows that that would make him look very bad. because it does look bad. It looks very desperate and it looks very manipulative, and it also just does not read well at all. I commented on your video with the email I sent you because I was angry that after I told you how stressed my parent was by all this, you teased a part 2 to your viewers, as if you didn't care and were just out to hurt me further no matter what. As I said, I have only read these emails today. I teased a part 2, as he called it. I wasn't teasing a part 2. I was just asking if anybody was interested because I wanted to make a video about the violation of consent because this person had emailed me and I thought it was a very interesting topic just based on the response that I had been getting. He has absolutely no evidence that I'd opened his emails beforehand and read any of this. And considering I didn't even reply to any of his emails, the fact that he's assuming that I had read what he'd said about the personal things that he was going through and then didn't care and was laughing and thought he deserved it is just the paranoia that this individual has surrounding me and my actions without any evidence of what I'm actually doing is astounding. If you go ahead and post it, please just give me 1 day's notice so I can make sure that they don't see it. Please do that. No, because I am not responsible for what content you decide to consume. I, for instance, have an issue with watching films or shows where there are particular scenes or there are particular instances of against women. There are certain things that I cannot watch. So whenever I'm about to watch a show, to watch a film, to go to the cinema, I'll go onto IMDb and I will see what is in a film, what is in a show. A few years ago, I watched 12 Years a Slave, and because of particular scenes, I could not handle it, but I continued to watch it. So what happened? For the next few weeks, I was traumatized and I was vomiting and I couldn't eat and I made myself ill. Now, that isn't the fault of the film. It isn't the fault of history. It isn't the fault of the actors. It isn't the fault of anybody. That is my problem. I decided to consume that content. I decided to put myself into that situation. And importantly, I decided not to click off. Nobody else is responsible for that but me. In the same way that I do not understand why, if my content is causing anybody distress, if you do not like my content, if it makes you unhappy, why are you watching my content? It is not my responsibility to make my content more palatable for you because of things that are happening to you when I don't know you. I respect and appreciate everybody who consumes my content, but I am not responsible for how you feel about what you are consuming on my channel. When you have as much volition as you do to click on my content, to click off my content, to block me, to tell YouTube that you are not interested in my channel, I am not going to violate my boundary and let this man continue to violate my consent, to violate and to take advantage of the boundaries that I've put in place, for him to feel less guilty for what he did to me, for the emotional manipulation, if not that he put me through and is putting me through here. So I get another email. I love how my entire video was about my experiences, especially with my mental health, and that I have been in a very, very bad mental health state that I was for a large part of this year so far, and how none of that mattered to him when we were friends and when I spoke to him. Instead, it turned back to it being all about him not being able to save me or him not being able to show me what real passion is. And now, of course, this again has all turned into not my experience as the video was about my experience, completely anonymizing him, but all about him and all about how this has made him feel, and how it is, importantly, because I think he knows that I don't really care about how he feels, but about how an innocent party feels because of this, and how that is somehow my fault. This email is an absolute doozy. And if you think this is all a lie, as some of your wonderful viewers seem to, I can ask my parent to contact you directly and talk to you. I do not know your family. I do not know your parent. I've never spoken to your parent. This is such a violation. Such a violation. It's astounding. And he continues. That would be the cruelest thing you could make me do. But if it's literally the only way to convince you, then I'll do it. Emotional manipulation and 101. I'm not making him do anything. I haven't responded to a single one of his emails. Not one. The taking of responsibility off of himself and placing it onto me is just textbook. That would be the cruelest thing you could make me do, as if I'm responsible. You know, Destiny recently posted a clip from his stream about this kind of emotional exploitation that people do in messages and in emails, and it applies perfectly here.
There's behavior that I would call assurance-seeking behavior, and anytime you're doing this, you're putting the other person in the conversation in a very difficult to navigate spot because you're preying on their innate desire to kind of like calm you down, basically.
Exactly. Lachlan here is trying to prey on my innate desire to alleviate the suffering that allegedly that I'm causing not just to their family member actually, but to the family.
What they do is, the goal is, and everything I'm about to say is, this isn't like a cognitive process where somebody's like thinking and mapping out all the things. This happens like very naturally, very, do I say impulsively? It happens very naturally because usually people that communicate this way are used to doing it, okay? The goal is I am going to communicate to you, okay? There's like three things, okay? I'm going to communicate to you that, that you have caused a problem. You need to remedy the problem. It will cause me intense discomfort until you do, okay?
That is exactly what Lachlan has done. I have allegedly caused a problem by making this public drama, by making a video about my own experiences. I now need to remedy the problem. That is, I need to tell him, violate my boundaries and tell him before I post a video about this. And 3, it will cause me intense discomfort until you do. I have to contact him. I have to call or talk to his parent because it is causing discomfort.
People will communicate in a way that has all three of these things working in tangent, and it's very, very, very difficult to counter it without being a sociopath.
And that's exactly what has sadly happened, because now I know I'm going to get a few comments from people who are going to say that I'm in the wrong for all of this, that I'm a sociopath and all of this. And I think this is why it is so difficult to actually deal with being emotionally manipulated and emotionally by people. But I refuse. I really do refuse. And I really want this to be a message that you should not empathize with people who do this. And I don't think that Lachlan is sitting there like, you know, meticulously calculating things. I think this comes from a very emotional and very irrational place, but that is no excuse. But I refuse to empathize with this grown man anymore. He is too many years older than me, and there are too many people like him out there who are coddled by the cycle of emotional manipulation that they do, who are coddled by these 3 points that Destiny pointed out that they do incessantly and get away with it. And I think too many people, especially women, are tired. We're exhausted. This is honestly insane. Now, I thought about including this message in my video, and I think it is important because, I mean, I'm never speaking to Lachlan ever again. And I also know for a fact that he is watching this video because, well, he can't help himself. And in that vein, this is therefore a message to all the Lachlans of the world who people are getting incredibly, incredibly tired of. Do not ever, ever contact me again, either through my email, my business email, my personal email, if you somehow have that. Do not contact me via my comment section. Do not contact me via my address. And I don't say that for you to not do that for me. Don't do it for yourself. I do not need to, nor want to know anything about you, about what you are doing, nor anything about those associated with you. Because to be fair, all you're doing is giving me important content to make. And this is important, just based on the comments that I've gotten from people. This clearly means something to people and is important to them. This is something that is a very common experience for way too many women. It was actually horrifying reading my comments of people telling their stories of how this had happened to them. I am so fortunate and so lucky that I have a YouTube channel where I can actually talk about this and actually have some semblance of control over what is happening to me. I can actually address this emotional manipulation that this person is trying to put me through, this violation of my boundaries and consent, which so many people, especially women, do not have. It is so so horrifying. And I will keep making content about the people who violate my boundaries, about people violating people's boundaries and consent. Because this idea of the family honor syndrome, this idea of not airing out dirty laundry, which I didn't because I'm just talking about my experiences. I am perfectly valid in doing that. And it is so important to do that. It is so important for us to address these things and to talk about them. There is too much shame in this society that is allowing people to bully other people, that is permitting people to hide behind their terrible, deplorable actions.
Lachlan's apologies aren't good enough because one, they're in public. I shouldn't even be seeing this. The fact that it's posted here is so weird. That means he wrote it to Z in an email and then still thought the public needs to see it because he's not sorry for what he did to her. He's sorry she told us. He's sorry he was found out. Because if he was really sorry, he would have taken it as a responsible adult as something he did between them, and that's it. Z didn't tell us who he was. Z's allowed to tell us her story. And the fact that this is her story means like it was eventually going to be something she was allowed to tell. You can't hurt people and expect them not to tell. That's why the bridges burn, because you expect to hurt people and not be told on. No, you cannot hurt people and expect people not to tell. Now, if they lie about you, that's unfair. But Lachlan's not proving she lied about him. And that's the problem. Lachlan's admitting he did everything she said. He's just trying to make excuses for it. I don't accept your excuses. You don't get to hurt people because they hurt you first. Or you don't get to hurt people because they hurt you last. You don't get to hurt, like, do you have values or not? Do you have values or not? And Lachlan doesn't have values. What he has is a really well-written email that's going to convince people that he gets to do bad things because these people were mean to him. Nope, you don't. That's not how it works. You don't get to do bad things and expect people not to tell people. And at the same time, again, okay, if Z lied about him, then he should say that, but he's not even saying that.
I'm most definitely not ashamed for my video or for what I said, and I'm most definitely not ashamed for making this video and talking about what has recently transpired. As we all know here, I am a content creator and I make content about modern society, and that sometimes includes myself via my personal stories and experiences. Me doing that is not harassing anybody, especially when I anonymize them, nor is it causing anybody any harm. The Lachlan of the world are doing this all on their own. Lachlan is doing that for reasons only he knows, by following my social media, by emailing me repeatedly, by creating a fake Gmail account to comment under the name Lachlan K. I didn't make my video because I was hurting or because I wanted to get back at you. None of this is about you. I know that's difficult to understand, especially for people who may see a bit of themselves in the Lachlans of this world. But my video was about me. It was about my experience with Lachlan. My video wasn't about Lachlan. It wasn't about trying to get one up on him or to get even with him or to get back at him for ending our friendship. I find introspection very important, and I've always found my personal videos very cathartic ways and means for me to actually do that kind of exploration of my actions and of what has happened to me. I made that video because I always make videos about my experiences and about myself. And that was just another one of those videos. It was Lachlan's choice to expose himself. That's his prerogative, but it is not my responsibility. I am not doing that is Lachlan's emotional labor and accountability for you. Grow up. I don't know if it's going to happen, and to be fair, I do not care. But I just really hope that you do, because I hope the best for everyone. I really do. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this part 2. I just thought it really important to put out there, just based on what these emails contained and what I think they really represent. I have seen people like Destiny, for instance, speaking a lot more about sort of emotional and emotional manipulation. And I think that just based on the comments, so many people go through this, so many people have experienced this, and so many people do this without knowing. I don't think most people who do this kind of thing know what they're actually doing or really introspect enough to appreciate what they are doing to other people. I do not believe at all that Lachlan really appreciates what he has put me through and what in these subsequent emails he is showing and exposing of himself. And I think it is so important that we actually talk about these things, because that is the only way that we are going to improve. This idea of keeping everything in the family, of shame being the thing that keeps everything hush hush, about keeping up appearances, is absolute bullshit. But anyway, this is nuts to me. But anyway, thank you so much. Thank you so very much for watching this video, this part 2. I really do appreciate it. I hope that you can take something from this video. Please do share in the comment sections your experiences and your thoughts. I will see all of you very soon in the next one.